Hello, and welcome back to the Bible Study Girl podcast. You guys are in for a treat today. We're going into part 2 of a marriage conversation with Bible Study Brother, the executive producer of the show, and his lovely wife, Canae. Hi. Sorry.
What's good, people? It's your boy, Icarus Gray, also known as Bible Study Brother, here with the executive producer of the Gray Area Anime podcast.
Way to slide that in there. Yeah. And she does a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
She is the kind of executive producer that I aspire to have here on the Bible.
I'm not in that.
Okay.
I'm not in
that.
You know what?
So thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure to spend time with you. I like
Ditto.
to see you work in Gray Area Anime and get that show in shape.
Thank you.
And you get to come to this side and see how my executive producer runs things. So yeah.
Well, I'd just like to say that one of them is more successful. I'm going to go with yours.
This is true.
No.
This is very true.
Okay. So listen, guys, we were talking to the Grays about their marriage.
It's weird to hear. I normally don't ever think about us that way. I know we are, but I swear that I never think about us that way.
There's a sign out front.
Yeah, there is of your
There
home.
is.
Like
Established,
it's clear
2017.
that y'all are the Grays. Okay.
We are
Anyway.
the Grays. Not the whites, not the blacks.
Not the whites or the blacks.
The Grays.
The Grays.
That's us.
Yeah. Okay. So last episode, if you didn't get a chance to hear last episode, you really should tune in to part 1. Bible Study Brother goes deep into the past. He digs up some things, leaves them out on the table. And today we are at the point where we can talk about the season of engagement, wedding, and what these 3 years of marriage have been like. You guys haven't been in the game long.
No.
But you've been in the game strong. So I wanted to talk to you.
I mean, we still alive, and I thank God for that every day. I keep telling people when they ask me, how's marriage? Hey, we ain't killed each other yet.
Praise
Thank you, Lord.
Be the Lord.
I don't want to leave them.
Because
So
God bless you, sister.
Thank
can't
you.
Without paying
Thank
me a
you.
lump sum.
I lived with him.
I ain't worried about that. Look, I told you I will sign up for a payment plan if I need to. All right.
So I
I
have so much empathy, sympathy. I lived with him. I know him.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yes. Well,
Back to the engagement period. We did talk about pressures from the outside world and even pressures just within your relationship with each other.
yes.
How did you guys handle those pressures?
Not well.
Okay.
Horribly.
Just horribly, like not well at all. Like and probably like 75% of those issues because I don't do change well.
You do not at all.
And there was so much change. And like I
Yes.
said, the pressure came more so not even starting from other people. It was, okay, this is what you both wanted. Now, here are all the things that comes with. Here is the unification that comes with. Here's the binding of families. Here's the spiritual bindings. Here's you got to kind of lead now. You got to do some things that you don't do. And you have to have conversations now that you probably should have had when you could have had them, but you made choices not to. And so there was just so much pressure. And then it was also pressure from, like I said, the expectations. Like even if there wasn't a conversation between you, me, and mom about what y'all expected me to be like whenever I became a husband, that stuff still ran in my head. And I didn't have no male figures to be like, yeah, dog, they kind of right. It's more like, I don't really know. And I don't know if I want to, like, am I trying to be their husband? Am I trying to get them the example of a husband? Or am I trying to be my own man? And how does that, like, can I do that in a way that doesn't make them feel like I don't care about them?
That is a lot from a lot of different people. So I can imagine you said engagement was hectic.
It was. I'm really trying to think back on that time, honestly, on whether or not I got any pressure from my side, and I don't think I did. Like, honestly, I didn't really, like, none of my family members were calling me saying, you have to have this, you have to make sure you sit this person. I didn't get any of that. I didn't get any of that. But I also I didn't really have anyone to call and ask, what am I supposed to do? Or how do I do this? Because my mom, I'm my mom's oldest child. She's never planned her wedding before. Yeah. I didn't really, and it's not to say that I couldn't have asked like my aunts or someone like that, but I wouldn't even know what to ask them because I was still trying to figure out what it is that I wanted and how I wanted to go about that. And then also the pressure of, because like I said, most of the pressure, like he was saying, it really came from like our relationship, because I'm trying to figure out, okay, this is the day that they tell me I can get what I want, but he's like, no, I want what I want too. Well, wait a minute now. You all you supposed to do is show up and stand there. That's all. Like I'm what you want. You here for me. You're not here for the cake. You're not here for the lights. You're here for me. And so that's part of what I had to accept, was the fact that he did want certain things for his, because I didn't know guys thought about their wedding day. I didn't think dudes cared about that.
I apologize. I am his sister, and weddings are my life.
I know.
And so that added a whole different dynamic to your relationship, because I would make him.
And I love 4 weddings.
Yeah, I would make him watch. Well, I didn't make him, but
Initially, she made me, and then I was like,
I can get into this.
This is actually kind of fun. They had how much to spend on this wedding?
That's what I'm saying. Like, so,
and so you did get a man that was
very, and very, like he said, he doesn't deal with change well. So he's very, I don't want to, you can correct me, honey. You can correct me. In my experience with Joe, whenever we would have, with Bible Study Brother, whenever we would talk, he is a person to me that when he has an opinion about something, that's the only opinion that matters, and he gets that from his family. His way or no way.
He gets that from his
there's
family.
no middle road, like he said. So there's no way of compromising, and I am very much pliable. Like there are certain things that there are certain things that I am very adamant about. There's like my dress. This is what I'm gonna say. I was very adamant about my dress. Like there are things that I am adamant about, but for the most part, I'm willing to be like, okay, I'm gonna argue for a little bit, but after a while, I'm gonna be like, okay, fine, whatever.
I will say
let's just do whatever so we can calm it down.
You are more pliable than me. That is the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah, like a 5% more pliable is more pliable. I understand.
The thing is, like we talked about earlier, you have your things.
I do, and that's what I'm saying.
You just normally will present them as if you're giving options or as if you're being pliable about them, when it's really like, I'd like chicken tonight. And now that could mean a million different places, because you're just saying, I want chicken tonight. What it actually means is there is a specific place that she wants chicken from. I'm going to offer, how about Popeyes? I don't want Popeyes tonight. Okay. Do you want churches? No, I don't want churches.
Wait. Is this you talking or is this me talking?
This is you.
Saying that, do you want churches?
No,
you said
you. No. I'm telling you to pop. Like what I'm saying is, you'll say you want chicken, and what you really meant was you wanted me to cook chicken, and you wanted mine chicken. Now you'll go with anything else, but you want me to make a decision that.
But I say those things too, and that's the thing about it. Like when I'm not presenting you stuff that's like, well, you could go with A or B. I really want you to choose A. It's more like, I'm gonna tell you what I want, but I'm also going to tell you there are other options that I'm willing to compromise for. And so I want A, to be frank and honest. I want A, but B is okay. I can deal with B. If you want to go with C, that's fine as well. And the reason, I think that there's a number of reasons for that. One is I'm the oldest. When you got to settle an argument, you got to settle an argument.
I'm the old.
And you want to compromise. You're taught that you need to share.
Yeah.
You need to me and Charmaine, one of the arguments we used to have all the time was the front seat. I want to sit in the front seat of the car. You need to get out of the way because I'm the oldest. That's not going to work. You can't do that, okay?
Yeah, not in marriage.
We decide you can't do that in life, all right? we decide you can, but it sucks for you. I'm sorry for you guys. It sucks. But so the way that I adapted the situation, or we adapted the situation, was we would take turns. Now that did present some opportunities for manipulation, because it was like, all right, if we literally were going, you knew we was going 5 places. I'm gonna tell you why. You knew we was going 5 places. The store we was starting at was only 5 minutes from the house to that store. That's not enough time to be in the front seat. That's not fair. Okay, that's not fair.
So you literally, every time the car stopped, you would switch places?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
Every single time, unless one of us had. That's just the way that we work. We were a very democratic household. There was a whole house procedure where there was some. I'm telling you the truth. There was like straight filibustering. There was back and forth. You presented your argument. You presented your case, and then you came to an agreement. That's just the way that we learn to work together. So that's what I came into this wedding planning expecting. I'm going to give you some options. These are what I'm looking at. If you like any of these, please tell me which one. I can let you know whether or not I'm feeling it, or find a way. Because if I know what you want, I can figure out a way to marry the two.
So I'm wondering why it was so difficult, because that's the dynamic that he is coming from. I would present options.
Because Joe, again.
No. Hold on. Because here's the difference. You know me in a way of presenting options that there are parts in there of the things that I like, while there are also more parts or certain parts of things that you would enjoy or think would be pulling me out of my change. Mm-hmm. So you give me something that is still visibly to me that I can understand as something that's like, oh, that's comfortable, but it's really pulling me way far from wherever. Whereas like plaid, my sister had this thing, so we would go shopping. I tell her, hey, pick clothes. She go and grab some stuff, and I'd be like, I don't really know. And then we put it together. Like, she find the outfit, whatever it was, like visually somehow it would appeal to me. I put it on. I'm like, man, I actually kind of like this. And then I end up buying something different that's in that same kind of field or wherever. You would present options of the things that, again, you assume are even the things that like I might be involved in. We've really been working through this recently in terms of communication and presenting things in a way that's like, I'm going to be defensive when something is presented in a way that's like, you literally didn't even not involved or thought about in any way. And that's not
my perspective at all. Because my perspective is a place of learning. Like, I'm going to show you me. I'm always going to show you me because I know me. If I want to know more about you, and that's one of the reasons why when we first started dating, I was like, I want to leave the house. I want to go places. I need to go through experiences with you. I need to go, let's go play paintball. Let's go do things where I can see how your mind works. I can hear you talk in a different situation. I can experience you in various, and that's how I learn, because I'm not one of those people. Like, I learn from hearing things. I'm very much an auditory learner. And then I learn from seeing. If I hear it, I can.
Visual. No. I talk a lot.
You do, but it depends on what we're talking about, when we're talking about it, and the circumstances that we're talking about it. If we're not in a circumstance where I am wanting to listen or willing to listen, it's not going to work.
Yes, because you don't get straight to the point.
And then if we're frustrated, it doesn't work I'm going to cut it off at some point. I'm going to pull the things that I know I need to pull, and I'm going to rehearse those things in my mind because that's how I gather information. Mm-hmm. So if I'm presenting something to you, I'm presenting it to see, okay, do any of these pique your interest? If they don't, I need to go back and rethink this thing and try and figure something out. But if you tell me, I like this gray, it's too dark, but it's closer to what I want, I'm like, okay, we in there. Now all I got to do is figure out what shade. We getting closer and closer. Because that's me. I start large and then whittle it down. So that's, it takes, and that's a part of the marriage aspect as well as the wedding aspect and the engagement aspect, is it takes time to learn other person if you don't. Because I didn't grow up in a house with this dude. Yeah, I don't know that man. I mean, like, I know what I know about him. And for a lot of our relationship, what I knew about him was what he was to me. Right.
But to see him in all these other different.
Right. And I want to know. I want to learn, and I think that's one of the things that helps us through difficult times is like, because the first few years of marriage are horrible. They really are. They're terrible. There's some really great times, don't get me wrong, but they are hard. They are very, very hard.
It's learning.
Because it is a very learning experience. You're in a completely different situation with a person that you only know so much about. Even if you've been with them for years, or you've known them for years, you're not knowing them the way that you know them as a husband or as a wife. I mean, figuring out how to be okay with being a wife and whatever the heck that meant. And then figuring out what a wife meant to him, what he thinks a wife is. It's like, what? I mean, like,
why do
my parents have been great, raising me to be this wife.
And then that would be
what are you talking about?
And then
And
his
that's-
family is raising him to be this husband.
husband.
But is that the husband that
Exactly.
you
But
want?
then even in the conversations that we have, my big one of my big gripes or issues or anything is, okay, because I noticed that.
Yeah.
And I say, well, hey, what do we want?
As a couple.
Like, I don't want to do this is what, like, it makes me then feel, well, I need to walk what you expected. And that I'm somehow not what you expected. And that I'm not what I need to be.
And that was
I'm
something
not
that I
what I need
said.
to be.
Yes.
And then, like,
Yeah.
especially in regards to being a man. Like, if your representation of a man from your uncles, grandfathers, whatever, ain't me. And then it's like, and then I'm trying to, like, fashion myself in that way. The same thing that I know it can be difficult for you because I'm used to a different level of organization.
Yeah.
Because my sister is obsessive about it. And
He
I'm
wanted
just
to marry his sister. This is another level of Freud. Okay, Freud talked about the mother. Okay, and I know he's been disproved by now, but I feel like we're gonna get to some psychological things. Okay, you guys in the audience, y'all weigh in. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
but I'm generally obsessive about you.
Yeah.
And I've been obsessive about you in a way of, like, and like you said earlier, realizing how much I didn't know, even with, like, now I do know patterns and I do know my general, like, because I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen. I'm going to take in everything that I need to do. But like you were saying, the bigger parts of what we're learning more about is you always have the capacity to change. You're always evolving and everything else.
And your marriage
that's
is always
something
changing
that's,
too.
you know, you have to kind of just ride with it and rock with it, that spiritually strengthen ourselves, especially with all the huge changes in our lives, has been getting a little bit more smooth as we get through. We still, you know, we'll argue about these things because it's like I said, your expectations versus reality is the biggest thing you deal with.
That's always going to be a source of conflict.
Like, you expect what to expect when you're expecting is everything.
Let me ask you, was your wedding day what you expected it to be?
No.
It was. Now, so initially when I look back on my wedding, I had a lot of resentment and a lot of anger. But really and truly, I loved it. I think our wedding was beautiful and it was great. I mean, I think that everybody had a good time.
You guys looked awesome.
I had a good time. I was sick later, but I had a good time and it was worth it. I mean, I think that especially whenever you're faced with a situation that is extremely stressful, whether that's a wedding, a graduation, a baby, whatever, it's very easy. And I mean, it's easy in just everyday life to remember all the bad stuff that happened. One of the ladies that was doing my fitting for a dress at David's Bridal, she said that was her thing about her wedding. She only remembered the bad stuff.
Really?
So many horrible things happened that day that she only remembered that. And she was like, it was so stressful. I hated it. That's all I could think about when I think about my wedding. And so when I thought about ours, I felt that way. I was like, oh, well, this didn't happen and that didn't happen. I didn't have this. I wish I would have did that. I didn't know if he liked it. I was like, he just had to be at a wedding he didn't even want to be at. You know, like, it was just a lot of really terrible stuff and unexpected things that you can't plan for. You can't, you can try, but really you don't know until you're there. And so that aside, I still think it was perfect. I think that, the people that invested in that did what they could for us. I mean, we saw the Lord provide for us in a crazy way,
in different ways,
getting ready for our wedding. Like, so
our photographer, like, we only had enough money to really pay her for just
the ceremony.
And that's what we thought she was going to do.
And she was like, no,
But
I'm
she
staying
was like,
the whole day.
no, and I was like, what? I was like,
God bless
okay.
you,
But
woman.
I think a lot of what was hard about why I love the fact that I got to marry the person I married. I love my wife.
Yay.
But the thing I think that most was the most difficult part about why I felt alone on that day was just because, our relationship wasn't where we needed to be. And when that's the case, like, I consider you to be the gold standard of our family, in the sense that if Sarita ain't rocking with it,
It's probably not
everybody
right.
else ain't rocking with it.
Yeah.
And so,
But I was there.
no, I
I
understand.
mean,
You
our
were there
relationship
in-
was
you were
not
there in
where it
physical,
needed to be.
Yes.
But
But
like
Canae
I knew
and
you
I,
wouldn't.
we did bouquets together. Like
I'm not
We
saying-
did, but I still felt like you hated me. And I was
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
she's
and
so
it's-
sweet for doing this, even though she clearly hates my guts.
You
So
know.
but my issue was not you.
No.
It was never you.
yeah, well,
My issue was with the man that you were marrying.
And then at that point, like I said,
And
it
I
was,
didn't want you to feel like I hated you.
Oh, you have no, like, we don't have a filter on making somebody feel if we don't like them or if we're not
yeah,
in
well,
a
I
place
mean,
of
yes.
complete and utter agreement. If
I
I'm
know
not in
this
complete
now.
and utter agreement, the general aura that's coming off is I'm going to do this because this is, I've been raised to have manners.
Yeah.
The manners of
Yes.
this is there's a job to be done.
Yeah.
I'm still going to do it. I'm not leaving you to the wolves because I would not want to be left to the wolves
Yes.
if
Yeah.
the situations were flipped around. Like
It's a
I might
pray
not
for your
like
enemies.
you. I might
Yeah.
not even like really respect you. But in God, you need your tire changed or you need a
well,
light
let me
changed out.
tell you, you should know that my issue was not with you
I'm glad.
because I went to your bachelorette
Yes, you
party.
did. You did come. And I was so
helped
happy
with
to
the
see you guys
flowers.
there. Yes.
Answer this question: did I hang with your groom to be?
No.
No.
That's very true.
And that
It's
was
very,
the,
very
you
true. I
know,
didn't think
but-
about that.
and-
Like,
But yes.
my issue.
Yes.
No, I understood. But
Was
the thing
not
was,
you.
that day
He
was really
know.
just
Yes.
stepping out to just be by myself. Like I didn't feel like even, you know, me and my best man at the time had some stuff
I was
going on.
there. I danced. at
Physical
your wedding.
presence
You
is
did.
fine.
I was
but-
nice to you.
You were there. Like I'm not saying you were mean. I'm not saying you were mean, but the point, my general feeling was like we
I
ain't
get.
normal.
We were not. No,
And
we
that's
were
what I'm
definitely
saying.
not
So
normal.
like to be in this most important moment of my life where
Yeah.
I'm actually doing something that is for me,
Mm-hmm.
that is that I'm going to do. That is like I've moved out. I've done all these things because I want to be self-sustained for once. And
I'm
I want a person to be proud of me.
So I'm
And this
sure
person
that
ain't really
added a
even
whole-
fooling with me right now.
That added a whole different
So
strain
like
on a wedding.
half of the
Yes.
family in terms of like I'm already in my head feeling like half the family ain't fooling with me. Like they're there, but again, we will show up. But I'm just telling you what I was thinking. I'm not
know.
saying that it was
I know.
actuality, but that's my stress. And then you got all the other stuff going on with my pops.
It was a
and
lot. Don't,
It was-
don't go
it
I'm
back.
not
was
going
a
in, but I'm
lie.
just saying, like, you got
Don't go
all this
back.
stuff going on, and so there were moments of enjoyment that I hold dear to, like her walking down, us doing our vows, are about what I got, you know, and having the people there that were there, you know, the people that did what they needed to do. But a lot of it was, this ain't it. This is so like it came together because like it's more like it's to the glory of God in the sense that it came together in the way that it came together.
Oh, yes.
But
definitely.
because I'm so in my head and sometimes able to not disconnect, it's like, dog, this ain't even half of what we could have or should have had.
I have wondered if you felt like I didn't like you.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes. No,
Sorry,
it's fine. No. See, and there was a thing, and I mean, I think that's another aspect of being with a person, like partnered with a person like that is, I'll say married because I say partnered for those who are not, but married or conjoined in the sight of the Lord. You feel what that person is feeling. And so I think about in the Bible when God talked to Adam, he was talking to Adam and Eve. He wasn't just talking to Adam.
Yeah.
He called them both Adam, and Adam called her Eve. I very much feel the same way when people look at us as that God, they look at us the way God looks at us. So if they mad at y'all, they mad at me.
I got you.
And so it's kind of like
because
that,
y'all
you know.
are.
Yeah, and
Because
I mean, and
she's
I
not gonna get no
feel-
peace if
And we also hadn't had.
I'm not,
We
yeah.
also hadn't had interaction with each other.
Right, and we
period.
hadn't really been able to hang out. We
And-
hadn't really established a relationship at
At
that point.
all. And y'all's love story happened when he was in high school. I was not in the house.
Right.
So I didn't know you.
Right.
So I get it.
you know.
Yeah.
So do you guys ever go back over your wedding vows and the things you promised each other on that day?
I
I've
ain't my
looked
wedding
at mine.
vows since. I haven't looked at mine since.
I'm sure you need reminders.
Every now and
Yeah.
again. I mean, if we're gonna talk about like the hard times, I mean, it kind of goes back to what he was saying earlier about expectation and reality. And I've said this in arguments with him before. Like, I don't know if I was the one you was expecting to get married to. Maybe I'm not the one you really wanted to marry. Like, I don't know who it is, but it may not be me because I don't seem to be what you thinking about. And I know that, you know, he could say the same thing to me in different situations as well. And I mean, I think that's like the constant moving it back and forth. It's like you're becoming the person that you need to be for the other person, even if that person is not who they expected. It's more about who God needs you to be as a husband
and that's
or
what we
as a
started
wife.
to get is just we started to. It's like it's not when we started to do more things that God was wanting for us to do. We went to talk to a therapist one time, and you know, he's basically telling us like, hey, so when you're talking, like, don't interrupt each other. Write those thoughts down. We've since not done that as much.
When it's
Both
heated,
of us,
when it's heated and we need to, we do exercise a lot of
haven't
those.
had in a while.
I have.
She holds it in, bro.
Sometimes.
And just don't write it down to come back to it later. But anyway,
Now that you guys, go ahead.
The bigger point I was saying is like, so we've just gone to a point where it's like when you finally realize where God needs to be and starts creating the expectations and like, hey, what is it that you have for me? What is it that you have for me in this marriage? Where are you leading us? How can I be the husband you want me to be?
Exactly.
Like, how can I be the husband you want me to be versus what an auntie, cousin, uncle expected her to see in me and that she now sees in me. And now I'm like, I don't know how to, am I doing it right? Is this it? Are you happy? Like it, or whatever the case may be.
And I mean, it's gotten to a point where like in certain situations, I will pray in that moment, like, Lord, okay, I don't know what kind of wife I need to be to him right now. Please show me, please tell me what kind of wife I should be to him in this moment. But another thing that we kind of found out, or that was suggested to us in our therapy session, was when you're angry with your spouse, pray blessings over them. And I think that was something that helped me. I don't know if you ever did it, but I did. I got mad and left the house one time. I was pissed off. I went to the lake and I watched me a movie. It was middle of the night. I didn't care. I did not want to be in this house. I was like, Lord, if you don't do it, I don't know where I'm gonna get $50,000 from, but I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna run a couple scams or something. Something gonna have to pop, you know.
But what he told
in
us
praying
was,
those blessings over him, when I'm mad, it realigns me back to getting the focus off of me, getting the focus off of my feelings about the situation, and getting it back to a God perspective of who he is.
Yeah.
And, you know, to me, but mainly to, as a person created in the image of God. Like, even when I can't see him beyond that, when I start to pray that way, it brings me back to who he is, like the essence of who he is.
And what he generally ended up telling us was, to put the Bible in between us as well. Yes. Because he was like, if the person you just prayed all these good things for can't be against you,
right,
or would not be against you, that person, like having the Bible in between you, is that person is not your enemy. That person is not here to, like, you didn't pray all those good things you wanted for them just to be like, forget you, I'm out of here.
That person. God dang.
You know, or whatever. And it's a building communication thing, especially when you have different love languages, when you speak differently, when your spirituality is a little bit different and you're trying to align and come together with something new. You're building something. Like, communication is going to be the success of our life. When that is going to be the greatest success that I'm going to tell my kids when we get, like, cause that's the thing.
It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, and because, you know, trying to make sure you're saying your wife is pretty. Like, I, in my mind, am always like, dog, you're fine to me. Like, ain't nothing you could, like, I don't care. Like,
but you don't verbalize
all this other stuff. I do.
Oh.
But not in the critical times where she's asking. I'm like,
like, and that's more like he's like,
what? Like, what do you mean? Like, dog, you fine. Sure. Like, it's more like, dog, you know, you fine. Like, what are you doing?
No.
You know, I like.
You tell me.
You know, I like.
You better tell me.
Say so.
You know what I'm saying?
Do not let
the redeemed of the Lord.
Do not let these men in the street compliment me more than you.
No, that would never happen. If they want to. Anyway, I'm not gonna finish the statement. But
what I was going to say, I was going to ask you before we end this episode, and be done with y'all's marriage discussion.
Yes.
Is what is the greatest blessing that you have received out of marriage? You know, I'm the only one of my friends pretty much that's single and not married. So I do get marriage tidbits and advice from them. So what do you think is the greatest blessing, the greatest thing you've learned since you're getting to experience life with each other?
You want to go first?
Ladies first.
Okay.
Such a gentleman.
No, he is.
Sometimes.
Yes. No, the greatest blessing I'd say in being married to him specifically. I mean, in general, the greatest blessing of marriage, the ideal situation is two are better than one. You know, if one of y'all fall in the ditch, the other one can at least help you out. Like, so you have someone else that's experiencing this life with you, alongside you, who can help you. But specifically to him, like being married to him is awesome because more and more he's becoming my covering. And I do feel, I don't even know how to explain it. Like I feel different. I feel secured in a very different way. The confidence that I have is very different from what it was when I was single. And I do feel like I have a firmer foundation to accomplish my goals and my dreams with, and I also have a better motivation for it too, because my goal had always been to do great things for my future. And by that, I mean for my lineage, for the kids that come after me, I want to establish. So that's always been my goal. But having him makes that tangible. Yeah. It makes it more, it makes me feel like this is something that can be realized within my lifetime and not something that I'll just have to kind of hope will happen after I leave. So that's been one of the major blessings, I'd say, is that I feel like I'm closer to who God called me to be. And I have someone who is accountable, that I'm accountable to and is accountable for me.
All right.
So that makes me happy.
You gonna preach a sermon about that?
No.
Okay. I'd love to hear it though. You should do a Bible study.
I'll think about it.
Okay, thank you.
Peace. It's just the biggest thing. Like there's so many wants or desires that I've had in my life that I've either not attained, dropped by the wayside, or done whatever. And no matter what storm of an argument, doesn't matter how bad it gets, I'm still at a level of peace that she's here, that she's real, that got like it. You know, you wake up and you're like, I'm really married. Like that's really my wife. Like it's not like
she's still here.
We're really able to.
She ain't leaving in the middle of the night.
You know, we're really able to be close together. And you know, like when I'm working, it's like I just want to be home with my wife. I just want to be there, spending time with her. I want to go and do things and travel. So it like renews a certain level of curiosity or excitement in going and doing things. So the biggest blessing, like I said, is that peace, because it's like, you know, initially, and that was something like I had to kind of grow to, because it was like I'm used to our dynamic. So I'm used to a different kind of foundation. Like I do what I'm supposed to do. I do my job because my job has been assigned to me by the organizer. And I know that as long as I do this, everything is going to be all right. Versus initially it was like, I don't know how you organize stuff. I don't know. Like, I don't know about that job. What job you asking me to do? Like, I've never done that. Do you know that I can do that? Or are you just assuming I can do that? Like, this ain't going to turn out. Well, I told you I didn't know how to do this, or, you know, whatever. And so getting to that point to where it's like I can further trust her and trust my ability, because that's what it was. It's like at that time, it's like it was a lot of not trusting my own ability to do the things that I needed to do. So if that's the case, then I can't. If I don't think I can do it, then I can't trust you to cover me, because I had a person to do those things. Like, because I knew as long as I did my job, it didn't matter if, like, I'm gonna do my job. Like, I do whatever I got to do, and that other part is going to be covered by this person, and then the bigger part is going to be covered by money bags. So, you know, this was like a growth process of having this piece, because, like I said, you are my piece. It is generally that. It's not a joke. Like, I can call and fuss about you to a million different people, but I promise that by the time I'm done with that, I'm like, all right, Get that on my chest. Come here.
And he does.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
He's a
does.
cuddler. He's a big old cuddle baby.
So weird.
It's too darn hot for it.
It's not. You enjoy that girl.
Darn hot.
But I am so thankful that you guys were willing to sit down during this quarantine season and discuss marriage, relationships, love. What does that look like when it's aligned with your faith? Yeah, it adds a new
It's a
dynamic.
whole nother level.
Yeah.
It just continues to grow. I mean, it's never going to be easy, but that's not anything.
Yeah.
And I said that's the biggest thing I learned about us being married was the truth of marriage is the same as your daily devotionals. You must devote yourself every day. You must learn the word, learn the scriptures, and learn what it means to you, what it means for you, and have those things revealed to you. And more gets revealed every day. And there's still so many things that we have to do and legacies that God will build and things that we're doing. And it's just a blessing to be able to do so.
And I'm so glad, like I said, I hope you know that I love you
I love you too.
and I like you.
I like you too.
Like, I think it's important that you know that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm blushing.
I didn't have an out with you, but I know the two is one, and I had a real bad out with your boo.
I was like, I don't know what's happening.
I can only imagine if I was with a man and we were getting married and his sister was like, they were having a hate ball fight. God bless. All right.
One more quick thing, just because and I've said this before on another episode or whatever, but it's still a huge blessing to me that we did go through that, in the sense that like it helped me still myself in things that I need to be doing. So when I like get way out of line, like with an argument that we had, I'm like, yo, I'm sounding too much like this person, or I'm sounding too much like that person, or I don't want to be that. And like, having the foundational spirit of God over our marriage now has like changed everything and allowed me to be, hopefully, I hope it's made me a better brother, a better cousin, brother, just in general. So
it has.
Good.
God bless you, sister.
Thank you.
May the Lord keep you.
Hallelujah. I receive it.
Listen, girl.
Yes, God.
You
And I pray that blessing over the people that's in quarantine with their significant others and
Right.
didn't realize what you had married because y'all both been at work all this time.
Right.
I
thank
still
God.
been at work.
Yes,
So.
he is an essential, and I pray the blessings over him. But I thank God for that because when he off is when we argue, and so I know that y'all going through it, and so know that as long as you remember to keep God at the center of your life, of your marriage, you can overcome this.
There's
decide
joy.
to fight for your marriage. Decide to fight for the person that you're with, and let the joy of the Lord be your strength.
there is
Amen.
joy.
There is
joy.
There's a lot of it.
And there's even more joy at BibleStudyGirl.com, where you can read blog posts every day. There's not a day that she has missed, because the dedication of the Lord, she just got it. But
It's deep.
on top of that, y'all be on the gram. Go to _ Bible Study Girl. Y'all be on the Twitters. Bible Study Girl 2. Y'all got emails, old people. BibleStudyGirl2019@gmail.com.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh.
And everybody got a Facebook, Bible Study Girl. So make sure you go and so that way you can get notifications for every post that is dropped. The audio and everything else is also up there every day. Like you're not gonna miss, because there's a word, a testimony that she's gonna give, because intrinsically she knows that it is not you preach, they preach, Trump preach, whoever preach. It's we preach.
And until we meet again, everybody, keep preaching. Ignorant. Thank you guys so much. Let me go run.